You able to see my screen, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I'll try to be direct and just see, we can have a conversation later on the questions that you might have regarding the assignment and the things you have to do. What I'll do also, I'll explain a little bit annotations that you see in the data set that Chris will share. I will explain them what they mean. For example, there is $1, there is $2, there is a $3. So I'll explain those and how those are mapped. But before that, like Chris mentioned, I came to Dubai when I was 18 years old. I started my journey in hospitality as a lifeguard on the beach in Jumeirah Beach Hotel in 2007. So since then, I used to work in a corporate for 12 plus years. And then in pandemic, I had the opportunity to leave, right? So how I met Chris was my professor at the Emirates Academy. And then Jumeirah sponsored my education at Emirates Academy for my bachelor's and my master's, etc. And that's how I came across Chris. And I can tell one good memory, aside a bunch of classes he was teaching in marketing and things like that, was his strategy class. All of the frameworks and the stuff that we were learning, assignment was really horrible, 15,000 words long. Everybody was under the stress and things like that. But the frameworks that we utilized and analysis in that are extremely valuable when you go to the business, because you can actually apply them, right? So often you think I got idea and that's where, I'm good and things like that. And then execution is really what matters, right? And that strategy actually is super important to sit down and think about the stuff before you actually execute, right? Often we all run and we think, these frameworks are useless, these methodologies or structured way is useless, but actually is not, right? The businesses are one big checklist. So that's one big one that I taught in his class. I think I got a B-, which I didn't care for the grade. But I think it was important that I picked up a lot of good stuff that I'm using even day to day in my business. So this is short brief on myself and how I came to UAE, etc. I speak 7 different languages, and then I have also started new degree right now with the HSC or HES Paris, Masters in Innovation and Entrepreneurship, because I thought they had a really good practical course on how to elevate the business to the next level as well. Long story short, I left Jumeirah in 2020, started a company, as Chris mentioned, Hoik, and we do several different things. I will just kind of brief you what we do, and then we will go into a little bit understanding a bunch of stuff. So what we do, we analyze numbers, right? So we have I'll share a moment. We analyze why. So we analyze the context, right? And then obviously we help businesses make better, more improved decisions, right? So your numbers in terms of what you guys are studying are your quantitative things, right? And then more often than not, majority of the businesses struggle to understand the qualitative part. When I say qualitative in terms of business, that is the Instagrams, people talking about the brands, reviews online, feedbacks, blogs, all of the good stuff that sits out there that human cannot really digest on its own to make sense what's going on. So a bunch of the products that we have are actually exactly that. They help businesses understand in few clicks what really is happening in terms of the context. And then obviously decisions, our ability to help clients make better decisions based on these previous two. So when I say context, what I mean is that we have a solution that can extract and analyze any business anywhere in the world. So there are 2 approaches. Approach 1 is external data collection, which is our algorithm can go and pick up the information about any brand online, for example, Booking.com, Expedia, hotels, Google, TripAdvisor, etc., and pull the text in any language and then make sense out of it. What you're looking right now is one such example. Ambience and music were amazing, and the food is delicious, etc., etc. So after it translates, it analyzes something that we call sentiment, or emotional aspect of what people talk, right? So the software analyzes the sentiment score, or it's called emotional behavior, right? So it's analyzed how much people like particular things, how much they in love, what really matters, and things like that, right? So it has two things. One is the emotion, and two, it measures what is really important. For example, we work with a bunch of brands in Saudi to tell them why people come to Jeddah, for example. What's the most important to the people that come from, I'm just throwing it random, Nepal to Jeddah, right? So we can really analyze pretty much any brand, yeah? And I'll show you examples what we did, which is related to your assignment in a second. So let's go into the sample, right? And I think you should be able to see something dark blue right now, or correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so here it's an example of one restaurant, and I wanted to explain the context so you understand how this works, right? So example on this restaurant called Buffalo Wings and Rings, he has 2 locations. I don't want to go into explaining whatever software does, but I want to quickly just explain how it breaks these emotions, right? So let's say customer says something online, great service from Shein and Omakar, fantastic and friendly waitress, we are enjoying too much, etc., etc., etc. When I click on this individual interaction, and I want to show you interaction of one, when you understand the sample of one, you will understand sample of millions. So you can see here it's one interaction, one customer from UK that left the feedback for them, etc., etc. What you can also see is instantly extraction of different topics, emotions, and importance, etc. Now I can go also inside to extract every single attribute around the interaction. We can see it recognizes the names like Shin, Omakar, waitress, service, etc., etc. And I can see what was the most important, which was the Shin, the person or the employee, his service, and then I can see also how the customer feel about all of these interactions. So obviously this was a positive interaction. Now, imagine applying that to thousands and millions and hundreds of millions of words. Human brain cannot really digest or make sense of all of this, right? Therefore, what we do, we have something called natural language processing, which is the, I don't want to say framework, but it's the part of the wider AI, which focuses on understanding of language concepts, right? So ability to understand different languages, analyze emotions and things like that, right? So let's take now example, this is one. Let's say now I unlock this filter. Now I apply to example of 1,313 interaction. And I don't know where this number, like this 1313, probably I'm gonna have bad Friday this week. But we can see a bunch of interactions that customer left throughout the year. And we can see, I can scroll until tomorrow, all of these interactions with customer left. And now we can see here, starts making more sense. Okay, I can see the most important to my customers is, number one is service, number two is brunch, and then food and things like that. What I can do as a customer, our customer, not myself, our customers, they can click on a food, for example, and then they can go inside the food to understand every single aspect around the food. They can see how the fries, what customer talk about the fries, how they feel about the fries, who is complaining about the fries, etc., etc. But that applies to pretty much any related interaction to fries. Same happens with any other topic. If I click on a service and then I go inside the service, it is also so smart that it can extract employee names. So I can see Dillon, Ataf, Suil, etc., etc. So algorithm picks this up from the online conversation, in this case, Google and TripAdvisor. So this is the external portion, right? And then we have our internal portion, which I don't want to go into too much depth and weeds. I want to focus on your use case. And then if you have a question, maybe if we have time, I can cover some of that stuff. So how is this benefiting business? Aside of understanding the customer behaviors, emotions, what they really want from us, why they buy from us, why Germans come, why these guys come, we also get to respond to these interactions. And for example, if I type in Google now, best chicken wings in Dubai, you will see 2 restaurants, both are in a top organic search. Now, reason why they are in top organic search is because our algorithm also provides them the way they should interact. So we can schedule, for example, and say, optimize SEO, use these keywords, etc., etc., etc. So you can see both of these outlets are number one on search engines, organic one. Automatically, this helps these businesses increase the revenue, and we increase the footfall in year one for 17% and additional revenue for more than $480 a year per outlet on average. So impact is massive, but majority of businesses really forget about this stuff. Their market is important, or if they do it, their response is thank you, right? Which is not, that doesn't show that we care and things like that. It's just for the sake of replying. Anyhow, going to our solutions, what I just showed you, it's called Customer MX. It is the solution that analyzes the customer experience for particular clients. We work with retail, with the F&B, with the banks, and a bunch of other verticals that we sell this solution. Similar to this solution, we also have something called employee engagement software. This one we sell to the companies that have 1,000+ employees, for them to do exactly the same what I showed you for customers, but do for their own employees. Understand the employee behaviors, employee satisfaction, employee patterns, what they care about, and then improve on those in real time. We also have something called analytics as a service, which we help clients to analyze various different data sets, etc., etc. I will not go into that. But today I'll expand a little bit more on something called mining experiences or market research software. What we do here, because we have ability to understand external data and internal, we thought about it, oh wait, if we separate this part of the algorithm, we can create separate product that analyzes the market for the investors, for the people that want to expand in UAE, that want to buy Italian brands and bring to UAE, etc., etc. Then we created this product called mining experience or market research software that analyzes the external markets and helps various different businesses make improved or informed decisions about what to do next. Example, we have a guy who wants to open an Italian restaurant in UAE. We analyze every single one of them and we give him insights to say who is doing what great, who is doing something bad, so where he fits within the market. So example, same I showed you. Let me go another example here for something that we did recently for leisure in entertainment. So what we did for them, we analyzed one in-depth behavior of all of the water parks and theme parks in UAE, Ferrari World, Atlantis, etc., etc., etc. And then you can see here a bunch of those water parks, theme parks, and then we have the insights, which tells us who is doing what, right? Who is performing what. If I type safety as a keyword, I can see exactly what customers are talking about safety, at what moment, and what particular topic is impacted and where these customers are from as well. So for the restaurants, what we also do, this is looking into every single interaction. But for the restaurants, because there are so many of them, and the assignment and the data we shared with you is the kind of summary of what I'm showing you now, is we looked only at the high level information, which is high level of 4 different topics. We looked at the customer satisfaction score, which is the rating, right, from 1 to 5. And then net promoter score is your 4 and 5% minus your 1 and 2%, and those are the percentages of people that promote businesses. We looked up at number of locations, which is 14,127. Chris, I think you have this dashboard. You can feel free to share with the guys as well, because they can utilize this as well and play around to see what's possible and what we made out of the data that we gave you, right? And then you can see the sample here is 3.28 million customers, right? So we analyzed 3.28 million customers, extracted that, and then analyze various different things. And now I can, for example, filter by different pricing. I can click on expensive, moderate, inexpensive, and then Asian cuisine by city, etc., etc. And then if I say, let's say I say Asian, I can also drill down inside the Asian to see all of the outlets under Asian. So we can see Sumo Sushi Bento, they have 9 outlets, the PF Chang's have 7, Wagama has 6, etc., etc., etc. So we then can help make better decisions. What we also have here is something called, this is a 100% matrix chart, which shows percent of the customers in, for example, inexpensive segment that dine out in these outlets. So you can see, for example, for Asian restaurants, it's 28% are expensive. Solo travelers are 3%, which means not many solo people go in expensive places. You can see people who are eating solo or solo travelers, they go primarily on inexpensive places, so 11% of total. And then in moderately, they are 7%, right? Which makes sense, right? You don't want to go alone in fine dining restaurant and eat the dinner that costs $1,000. For sure, there are people who do that, but overall majority is not going to do that, right? So how this data helps? For example, let's say you want to design the restaurant. It can help you see percentages of solo people that are coming to your place or things like that. So you know how many tables prepared for solo or for the groups and things like that. So we have 5 different sets here. We have business, family, solo, friends, and couples marked on this one, right? And then you have that distribution. What you also can do on this map is if you drill down all the way to the city, let's say we go to the Palm, and I zoom all the way down, I can also drop the mannequin and potentially visit some of these places physically. Now I'm in the middle of the tunnel. That was terrible, sorry. But we can visit some of these places physically also to see what am I looking at. It's a beach bar at Latantis and things like that, right? So you guys, I will give you this. Chris will send you a link. You explore, feel free to play around. You cannot ruin anything. You cannot destroy anything. So in case you want to return and filter, you just click reset and it returns you back to the normal from the scratch. This is the information that you guys are going to be getting from the Chris. Now, I want to go to the model of this information. So some of the things and how we grouped particular things. And when I say that, I particularly mean for the pricing category. I hope this is not too small. Or now it's a little bit better.
Okay, yeah, we can see that.
Yeah, so let's say you can see here what we did. We wrote a piece of code that says, hey, when you see price level marked as $1, that is your inexpensive restaurant. When you see price level marked as at $4, that are your expensive restaurant. Anything else is moderate restaurants. How we extract that value. So let's say if I go Hakkasan Abu Dhabi, for example, you can see that here it shows you AD 500 plus, and on TripAdvisor they have these dollar signs. So what we do, we use that information to then pull that and customize and create different pricing sets for the businesses. So why I say this, maybe you see something like this on that data set that Chris shared, so you know what does this mean in case you are analyzing, understanding, so you can map and say, for example, overall in UAE, there is a 1,500 inexpensive restaurants, or if I would, let's say, read this report, right? What we have here in total, we have majority of restaurants of moderate value, so somewhere between the $15 and $50. And then in expensive are 6% of the market, and inexpensive restaurants are 6.6. So if you are filtering particular cuisine, and let's say Asian again, what we see here instantly is that we have opportunity to create more inexpensive Asian cuisine, where there is the street food, some concepts that are missing. What happens often is that people don't analyze data. So they are all just jumping into the market, for example, in a particular segment without looking at the market data. And then obviously after a few years, they go shut, right? They shut down their businesses. Why I say this? Because you can see here, 14,127 restaurants this year from the April 1, but you can see 93, which is 7% less than the previous time we measured, which means 7% of restaurants close its door within the time frame of April 1st, 2023 until April 1st, 2024, and April 1st, 2024 and March 31st, 2025, which is mean comparing year on year, 7% of outlets closed. When you take that average outlet opening investment in UAE will cost you around 3.5 million, you do the numbers, right? So it's a massive it's around 1,000 restaurants that close, times 3 million, you can see how much is lost from the investor's pocket because they just rushed to open the concepts, they didn't perform well, they had to close the businesses and things like that. Hence, this is why we are having this conversation, because what you guys are studying with Chris, preparing the strategy, analyzing the market data, looking at the Emerald insights and a bunch of other things that Chris provides you is extremely important to make better decisions. Either you are as a consultant, either you're working for organizations, or you are trying to set up your own venture. It is super, super important to understand really what is going in the market and where are you heading. So all we are having conversation now, this is actually strategy. We are strategizing to see who is going where, why they're going there, what is not doing right, so that we can create a better strategy for the concepts that we want to open or concepts that we work for. So in a nutshell, Chris, I think I'm close here. I don't have anything else to add. You have the link to this. Feel free to share with the guys, and also the stuff, the data that I shared you. You guys also have tons of insights on the portals that the Academy provides you, right? You have the access to the bunch of data like import and export of coffee, of tea in UAE, all of that stuff you can see on the Emerald Insights, and all of the cool research things that Chris provides, which many people don't use. And to be honest, that's extremely expensive, because if anybody wanted to get that information, it would cost them somewhere between $10,000 to $15,000. And you as a student get that access for free for your research perspective. So what I want to say is make a use of that stuff, because it's really good, right? When I finished the school in EHM before, for some reason, they forgot to unassign my account, and I was able to access those databases even year after. So I utilized them, and it helped me massively with my customers to give them stuff that they were not able to find anywhere, or that it costs a lot to get it, right? Yeah, so that's it from my end. I don't want to go into too much depth, but you guys have this market data, you have this dashboard, explore, get to understand the KPIs. You literally type in Google Net Promoter Score, customer satisfaction and sentiment and these things to understand what does this mean, how it's measured, and stuff like that, right? So I open that to you, and I think probably your assignment is a bit more than this, but I'm pretty sure this will at least give you a little bit what is possible out there, and where are the opportunities for you as a student to learn different techniques, right? So we do this data storytelling, as you see, connected insights. We can click and filter and understand, right? So we try to provide various different businesses with this exactly, analytics and things like that, so that they can make better decisions. So I'm sure this will be helpful for you. If you have any questions, Chris can consolidate them, send to me. You can reach out to me. I'm open to anything, as long as I don't get 25 emails at once. Because what we do in a company, we always prioritize sales, product, and people. So if we don't have pending tasks on those three categories, everything else we then do, right? So yeah, I'm open for questions if you guys want to ask questions and anything else. Chris, I don't have anything else on my end. I think I just wanted to kind of share. Information you see here is coming from Google and TripAdvisor consolidated. For you on your data set, you won't be able to see what's coming from where, because you have a summary. I was not able to export everything and give you, because Excel sheet has only 1.2 million rows, right? Because we deal here with big data sets, like 3.2 million rows. I had to give some kind of summary for you, so that you guys can kind of see what's going on and stuff like that. So
I think that's okay. Thank you, Vlad. I think if I did give them the 1.2 million rows plus, they would not be happy with me. They'd be less happy.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought same.
Maybe if you just go through a little bit on where the data has come from, because part of what the guys also need to do is look at discussing the ethical and legal challenges you may face in using this data. So yeah, where did you get the data come from, and what sort of limitations or restrictions do you face in then analyzing this data and converting it for customer decisions or for client decisions?
Yeah, no problem. So talking ethics, right? So let's say we have a hackathon example, hackathon Abu Dhabi here. Let's take the same example for TripAdvisor, right? Talking about ethical consideration, right? So the field we do right now, because we have capability to analyze pretty much anyone, right? Was a lot of gray area. So a lot of businesses did not really understand that this is okay, this is allowed, this is a publicly available information that we are aggregating. We are not stealing anybody's data. So think about Cambridge Analytica. I don't know if you heard of it. During the election in 2016 in US, they had this Cambridge Analytica, which used Facebook private information to provide insights for different campaigns of presidents and things like that. Now, that is the breach. That's unethical. What we do until 5-6 years ago was kind of gray area, right? But now it's absolutely legal. You see these tools like ChatGPTs. That's what exactly they're doing. They're scraping off the information. They are mining the information like we do, just that we've been doing this for the last 6 years. Now, when considering ethical consideration, what we do for the historical analysis, let's say if we want to analyze our business historically, we have this tool that we deploy that collects the history. Once we collect the history, we have the connectors, right? We have the paid API connectors with TripAdvisor, with Google. We then connect with the keys that they provide us, and then we have ability to pull that data and we pay for that data. Now, the historical part that we do, no one else can do it anywhere in the world. We are the only one. So that might be considered as a gray area. We are taking proprietary data, but it begs the question, secondly, whose proprietary data are we taking, right? Is this data belongs to the business? Does this data belong to the TripAdvisor? Does this data belong to the customers that left the review? Does this data belong to the public because it's publicly available and anybody can read it? So we kind of eliminate all that because it is a publicly available information. Anybody can read it, anybody can see that. Our software just collects that and analyzes. So let's see in a few fields how we extract value of that. Let's take one example. Let me just find one example so I can, let's say customer, let's say here, this is customer, for example, yeah? We will say show original. So customer wrote something, you guys can see my screen, let me zoom it a little bit. Is it a little bit better now?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so, oops. So this customer wrote something in Maltese, right? So what our software does, it comes to every restaurant that we want to analyze and goes and then extracts all of this stuff. So what it does, it collects the customer is from Malta. So if you see on the dashboard, we can see different way so we know where the customer comes from Malta, and we see here you can see here October 22 written. We collect the date so that we know when this occurred. We collect the date, and then we collect all of this text that customer wrote in their own language. We send all of this good stuff to our algorithm, and then we collect the rating as well. You can see here out of 1 out of 5 is 4. And we collect all of this stuff and send to our algorithm. And then our algorithm translates this from Maltese to English, maps out all of the stuff that I was showing earlier, and analyzes all of this text to understand what this customer has been talking about, to understand his emotions, to understand his frustrations, to understand why he's happy, to extract every single attribute out of here, right? So here, attributes are operative, mismanagement, arrival of dinner, drinks, all of the final bill, like all of the stuff we extract and then analyze individually and holistically, as I showed you earlier on the cases. So this is where we get in-depth that stuff, right, from here, yeah? For the market, you see here, for example, $4. This is exactly what I was showing earlier, Chinese, Cantonese. For the market data, we extract all of this. We extracted restaurants in Abu Dhabi. We extract the latitude and longitude, so we can map it on the map, as I showed earlier. We extract it's a Chinese and Cantonese, and then we extract this $4 and this 500 dirhams to understand how much people are rating this to cost. So $4, as we said earlier, we marked, is expensive, very expensive set of group of restaurants. That average check will cost anywhere from $75 to $150 per person. The moderate restaurants are between $20 and $75. And then inexpensive restaurants is anything that you can get for below 20 bucks, right? So could be McDonald's, could be eat and drink, could be some OG shawarmas that you can get and stuff like that. So this is where we extract all of this information. So our algorithm will come to this restaurant page and mine all of this stuff, and then obviously consolidate it, arrange, and then we analyze, process, put in the model, and then further into dashboards that we have discussed a little bit. Same here. Cross-validated information. We have AD 500. We have said Chinese restaurant, and then we can see a bunch of other things. There are more things behind the scenes that you can't see here, like latitude, longitude, and all the good stuff that I shared with you. So don't get surprised when you see more information on there than on here, on this one here, because in behind the scenes, we can extract much more than it's shown here. So in terms of data collection, you can literally find one outlet like this, and you can then scroll and see all of the stuff here, and that's where we extract the information from. And then you can, feel free to raise the questions if you have any on these and things like that. So also, when restaurant is closed, it will show here Hakkasan restaurant closed, and it will show the date when it's closed. And this is how we know % of restaurants that are closing. It's not 1,000,000% accurate. Obviously, municipality, Dubai and Abu Dhabi municipalities, they will know much better how many businesses closing because they see the reports but obviously TripAdvisor, Google, and all of these brands also will show temporary closed or completely closed. So then we can make sense that that place is closed and mark it as a closed. That's in terms of the data collection. Definitely, if I was you, what I have discussed with you, something that would be useful also would be explore what I've just told you, that it's a gray area. Are we allowed to collect this information? What we are doing, we know it's not illegal. We check with the lawyers. We have the brand on this, and this data mining has been around from 80s to understand the market and stuff like that. But when you are exploring ethical part of this, you want to raise the question that we discussed now, and you actually want to find the articles in the journals and things like that are actually backing up that or arguing that, and then make an argument and say, I've seen a couple articles, and then obviously do a write-up and say, they said this, but then reality is that modern businesses are doing this, right? And that way you can compare, because some of these research also might be outdated. It might be done 3-4 years ago, while the technology every day is getting fast, right? And it's changing so fast that you can't even keep up with the research, right? So you can argue both points and then have a nice conclusion for the ethical consideration. Say we have looked up in the academia, and then we looked up some modern tools that are happening. They are doing this, they are saying this, and they are doing this, and then make your own conclusion of how to close that report. But extremely important is this part. Am I allowed to collect this information? Now, it's a public, of course, you should be allowed. But if it's non-public information, which we also have a lot in businesses, data theft, like on LinkedIn, they take my number and then they calling me all the time to do the sales. And I'm probably sure you guys also get a bunch of sales calls. People are offering a bunch of other stuff. So you can make that argument and explore there. I don't want to take much time, but I hope I touched a little bit on where we collect and how we collect. And I think in 2019, before we opened the company, we had a discussion with one large global chain called Dairy Queen. They do the burgers and, similar like a McDonald's, it's called Dairy Queen. These guys questioned this back in 2019. They said, hey guys, this is fantastic. You can do all this, but is this legal? Yeah, am I legal to know what McDonald's is doing and stuff like that? So when people start questioning things, it's tougher to sell business, right? Even though they're not correct, we have all the documents, we provided them, but suspicion brings also for the customers, and I'm not sure I want this, right? Because is it this right or not right? Yeah. So
That's a challenge there, but no, thank you very much, and thank you for that. But also thank you for giving the guys the guide on how to write their report. That makes life a lot easier, I think.
Yeah, I think it's always good to argue, right? Think like you are arguing yourself. You find a really valid piece of journal, and I know Chris, I think you wrote some stuff on ethical as well. You get what academia says, and you find the other piece, and then argue yourself on there and give the conclusion, right? Because that's the idea, right? You don't want to follow just one write-up and just say, okay, I agree with this guy. That's not the point. Always it's good to get a few pieces of journal for a particular team that you are writing, whether it's ethics, whether it's the data collection, marketing, 4Ps, whatever you're doing, get as many possible pieces and utilize it. I use something when I was studying, that it was called Ridley's model. What is Ridley model? You find a very strong journal, and then when you read the journal, at the bottom of the journal, you have a references for that journal, which means a similar research done in that sense. And then you take that research, and then you take from that research their references. So it's called Ridley because it expands. It starts with one really strong journal, and then it expands down to the subset of how this guy came up with the write-up. So this is also a very good method of finding good articles and finding relevant research and things like that. I don't know, Chris allows that. Maybe I.
But that's okay.
Now,
that's
but
okay.
this was one of the mechanisms that I used. I think it is the allowed method.
It's okay. Yes, it's allowed. No, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for that. Thank you very much for the time and for giving us all that information. And yeah, if it's okay with you, if the guys do have questions as they start exploring the data a little bit more, I'll get them to email me. We'll compile it, and then we'll send you one mass question list if that's okay with you.
Yes, Chris, I will put here. 1 second. I'll put an email in one of the ladies that came with me to the academy last time, called Lenique. I put her email in the chat.
Yes.
It's always good to put her CC, because I might get too many sales emails and a bunch of other stuff that I deal with, and I don't want to skip it. She's the one who will remind me on Monday and say, you skipped this, you didn't do it. So keep her in CC, and then that way we are covered 100%. We will not miss anything.
Excellent. So we'll spam her quite effectively then.
Yes.
We'll do that. Perfect. Okay. No, that was brilliant. Thanks so much, Vlad. Does anyone have any questions because I dominated so far? Any questions anyone wants to ask? So just one question at the back.
I have a question criteria which is used to identify, based on the data on TripAdvisor, what are the different areas of issues with each of with the restaurant that you might select. Is there ability to do a trend analysis or like an analysis across different firms or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Trend analysis is possible. Some samples that I shared with you is just the samples, but exactly that's what we do. We look at the trend analysis of how the sentiment changes, how the customer's emotion. Now, we don't look at the pricings, right? Because there are no enough publicly available information on pricings. Like, we will have to go in every single restaurant and download their menu and extract the menu information. So we are not in that business. Our core products is the experience management, analyze the emotions for the customer, employee market. We focus everything we do around those. And then if there is supplementary things that we can add to that information, we do, but we don't go into weeds and looking at if my shawarma has changed over the time and stuff like that. Now, if you are our customer, for example, maybe I can show you that quickly, and I will share that as well. If you are our customer and we have access to your data, for example, your point of sale system data. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry for that. Do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah, so what you're seeing here, this is a point of sale system data from restaurant. What we do there, we plug into the customer data. Now we can see every single sales. I can see how am I growing over the months, April, May, when am I improving and things like that. But more importantly, I can click on a category breakfast, for example, to analyze breakfast. And I can see how my breakfast is performing, what days, what hour. I can see every detail of breakfast. I can say egg royale, for example. Now I can look at the egg royale to see if my cost of sales is jumping, is improving, not improving, when am I not selling this item, which days, which hours, etc., etc., etc. Now, if we work with you as our customer, we then can access this information too, and overlay with what I've just showed you, emotions, customer, and things like that. But obviously, this is 100% proprietary data, and it's not available publicly. We have to be your customer. We have to work with you and then get access to your data, which you provide us. We pull that, and then we can build a bunch of other trends around every little thing, right? Oh, is my avocado cost going over the years? Or why it's going? And all of these things we can start answering.
Thank you.
That answers your question.
Yeah.
One more
Chris,
question.
in the chat, I put market link and I put detail links. So those are the two dashboards. One is the entire restaurant market. Another one is the sample of in-depth one restaurant analysis. Just so if the guys want to play, they can. And they can open them on any browser. I recommend Chrome to use. So, I mean, but as soon as you click on the link, you will have access to it. It's publicly available.
Okay, great. I'll share that with them so they can have a look through that as well. And
Yeah.
So one more question.
Yeah, so
Please.
The food and beverage market is a very fast-paced market. So there is a lot of, let's say, rising five-star restaurants like locally. For example, restaurant like Let's, Arabia, those kinds, and they are trending and fast trending. Is there a way to capture this data for the new arising restaurants? Because as we look at examples, they are mostly famous restaurants with a lot of branches. But for the newly arise, how we can locate this data and how we can
Absolutely, yeah. So what we do, this solution, so how it works is that you take the map, right? Let's say we take a map of UAE, and we say, okay, somewhere UAE, somewhere middle is between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. We put pin on that map, and we say to our algorithm, okay, scan everything in 5,000 kilometers radius or 1,000 kilometer radius, and collect every business that has these parameters, restaurant, etc., etc. And then it can pick it up. So you can schedule that collection every minute if you want to. So if something opens next minute, it collects the new information and starts collecting that also. So it's absolutely possible to collect information on any new openings and things like that. Obviously, what I shared with you now, we did this for the research. This was not paid work. We did this for the research, and Chris and I, we are working on some white paper about this and things like that. So we did not put this to update constantly in real time because it's not paid work. We don't want to spend too much energy. We just analyze it once a year. We analyze the entire market. We pull the data once a year. So we did that for 2 years, and then next April we will do it again one more time. But yeah, we don't. Make it short, yes, it's possible to scan for the new arrivals, new openings, and things like that. It's not possible to look if there is nothing online, right? So let's say you open the restaurant and you don't even have a Google map or you don't even have anything, then obviously I can't find you, right? Because I don't see you anywhere publicly. But once you open the restaurant, obviously it's mandatory for you to have at least Google account, Google My Business, and things like that, because no one will be able to find you if they don't have that, right? So this is how we can pick up anyone that comes into market. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Just one more thing, just to verify, is there a plan for the future to have these systems to look through the social media other than the Google? Because now social media plays a significant part in marketing new places and trends.
Yeah, so we have also ability to do Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Twitter we do, Facebook and Instagram we don't do much because majority of the data is how do you call it, fake bot information, right? You don't get people writing proper reviews about businesses, but the comments are more, oh, buy my crypto and this stuff like that. So there's a lot of garbage data. So that's why we don't focus on those. We focus on the something that you can verify, which are the usual review sources of the feedback, which Booking.com, Hotels, Expedia, Agoda, Booking.com, TripAdvisor, Google, Zomato, Uber, Karim, all of these good sources, which we know that people drop the review here and there and every now and then.
All right, clear. Thank you.
Welcome.
So one last question.
All right, but I have another question. Like you just mentioned that there could be increments set for identifying if there are new emerging restaurants nearby, and you could set the intervals on how often you want to collect that data. But does that also collect, given that it's a fast-moving environment, does that data also collect what's closed around that area then, or is it just capturing whatever is opening?
Yeah, it's I think I mentioned maybe earlier. 1 second, I'll show you. Yeah, so it collects also what's closed because we can see what's closed, right? So if I go here and I say, okay, 1 second, let me just open this quickly. You can see here, 93%, 14,127 locations, all right? Now, if I change the date and I say, okay, go from 2023, yeah, until 2024, 31st March, you will see now 15,000 plus, right? Now you see 15,192, which means 15,192 minus 14,127 is the amount of the restaurant that closed. Or if you'll see here, if it says 19 and it's red, it means that it's 7% down. Yeah. So which means 7% restaurant closed in entire UAE, including all of the 7 Emirates. So yeah, we can track that information.
Sorry, just last question, but are you guys not planning on integrating with the Department of Economic Development, which is basically responsible for any licenses which get issued related to restaurants or anything, any license? If you do,
yeah, so good question. Good question. Always when you have your business, always is a dream to get a big government account and to work with the government. We had a little bit conversations with DTCM in Dubai, which is the Dubai Tourism Authority, etc., about the hotels. But we did not have luck until now, obviously, to have some really good conversations with the government sector. But yeah, for sure, we are working with Cyprus government, and with Cyprus government, we are monitoring all of the hotels in Cyprus and providing this intelligence to them so they can show this to investors that want to buy hotels or invest in Cyprus and things like that. So we are hoping in future we do work with UAE government as well. At the moment, we did not have any projects. We did have a project for banking. We worked with the Central Bank of UAE and we analyze all of the banking sentiment for top 20 local banks. When I say local, I mean no international like HSBC, but Emirates MBD, Mashreq, and all of the local banks. So that was a good one. We worked with the MINALAC, which is a Middle East and North Africa Leisure Entertainment Council, to analyze all of the water parks and theme parks in the entire GCC, so including Saudi, Kuwait, Oman, and things like that. But for restaurants at the moment, we did not still had a conversation with the government on this topic. But yeah, those are the kind of best deals that you can get. So we do hope we can do that as well. Because definitely your question is good, because imagine if you were municipality, right, Guy? We could create the triggers or notifications and say, if customer mentions poisoning in some restaurant or he got sick from food, immediately notify inspector in municipality to do the inspection or to write a fine and investigate this, right? So this is all possible and we can do that right now, but just we didn't have luck to have a good conversation with the government.
So if anyone here is interested in getting involved, I'm sure we can put you in contact. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for all that, Vlad. That's really, really useful. And we'll really give them some things to think about as they move forward with the rest of the class. So yeah, like I said, we'll compile any questions that we got and then send you many emails with a list of questions should they arise.
Yeah, that should be okay. That's okay. Just FYI, guys, if you think you're gonna get A, forget about that. Just focus to do the good stuff and to learn. You're not gonna get A ever. Chris is a tough guy, but you will learn the best. All right. So good luck.
Thank you. We think. Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Bye bye.
It's running.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks so much. Thanks again. Okay, guys.